Welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about checkmating patterns, recognizing the patterns. Okay, the first one we're going to go over is a back rank mate. Notice right here that this black king is hiding behind his pawns. But you know, these pawns, while they are protecting him, they also are blocking his escape. So can you see a good move for white right here to checkmate black in one move? Always pause the screen if you want to figure it out, but I'm going to give you the answer. All right, let's see another example. Again, you see the pawns in front of the black king. He's got no escape, but he's got two rooks. Is there any way, can white checkmate in two? Well, let's see. What happens if the queen... Okay, pause the screen if you want to figure it out on your own. Okay, now here comes the answer. All right. Again, look at this. Pawns. The king is hiding behind the pawns. He thinks he's safe. But can you see a way that white can checkmate black in one move? Pause the screen if you want to. Otherwise, here comes the answer. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Back rank mate. Okay, checkmate the opponent in 3 moves. Pause the screen if you want to study it for a minute. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you what I think the first best move is. Here it comes. Bring the queen down. Say check. The king has to move over. And you see now, can you see a good move for white? Yeah. Sacrifice the queen. Bishop takes queen, then rook takes. Okay, now the hook mate. That's where you use the rook and the knight. Often there's a pawn involved. And let's see how it goes. Let's see what it looks like. We're going to checkmate with white. White's going to checkmate in one move. Can you see a mate in one? Okay, here's the answer. Okay, so that's what a hook mate looks like. Let's see another example of hook mate. All right, pause the screen if you want to figure this one out. This is a mate in 3. White to checkmate in 3. Okay, here's what I think is the first best move. Put the king in check. Bishop takes. Rook comes down, takes the bishop. He blocks. But you see, do you see mate in 1 now? Mate in 1. All called hook mates. Okay, here's one. Checkmate the opponent in 3 moves. White will checkmate in 3 moves. Do you see a good first move for white? Pause the screen and then study it. And I'll give you what I think is the next best move for white. Here it comes. Takes the bishop. King takes the queen. Rook comes down. Now see, the pawn is protecting the knight, so the king can't take it. And this is the hook mate. Rook comes over. Checkmate. All right, now this one's called Anastasia's mate. Anastasia's mate. And this is going to be a checkmate in 1 for white. So do you see a move for white, mate in 1? Pause the screen. Otherwise, here it comes. Checkmate. Anastasia's mate. Okay, now we see a similar pattern, except we've introduced an extra couple of pieces. This is a checkmate in 2. Now, based on the previous example, do you see a way to set that up? Pause the screen if you want to look at it some more, but otherwise, here it comes. I'm going to sacrifice that queen. and then swing the rook over like we did in the first example. Okay, some more Anastasia's mate. Now we know based on the last pattern that we saw, we want to get that knight here. So that's probably a good first move. Anyway, pause it. This should be mate in 3. Pause it if you want to study it. And I'm going to give you what I think is the first best move. I think it is putting this knight here. Okay, and then just like last time, we sacrifice the queen, bring the rook over. Okay, let's see, last example of Anastasia's mate. Similar pattern, there's a king, white king, there's the 3 pawns in front. We've got the knight, we've got the queen. We also have this rook here. I think that's going to come into play. So what did we do in the other example? Okay, this is a checkmate in 3. Pause the screen if you want to figure it out. Otherwise, I think I'm going to give you the answer of the first best move. Just like in the last one, you bring the knight up and say check. Now the knight's in place. He's guarding this square and this square. And just like last time, black queen came down, sacrifices itself. Then the rook comes over. All right. Now this one's called the blind swine mate. Okay. So why is it called that? The name of this pattern was coined by Polish master David Janowski, referring to coupled rooks on a player's 7th rank as swine. For this type of mate, the rooks on white's 7th rank can start out on any 2 of the lines from A to E, and although black pawns are commonly present, they are not necessary to affect the mate. All right, let's see. Blind, swine, mate, white to move. Checkmate in 3. Do you see a good move? Pause the screen if you want to look a little bit longer. Otherwise, I'm going to show you my guess. King moves there. You say check. And mate in 1 right there. Okay, some more blind swine mate. We need to try to get this rook up to that 7th rank. Oh, let me see. How can we do that? Well, okay. Pause the screen. This is checkmate in 6. Well, right out of the gate, just looking at the hook rank that we learned earlier, I'm thinking bring the rook up. But otherwise, yeah, pause the screen if you want to look at it. Otherwise, here's what I think. Okay, here it comes. Rook comes down, says check. Okay, now might be a good time for us to get this other rook in. Okay, well, he just gave me a free knight. Is that a free rook? Okay, free rook. Okay, now we come over, say check. And notice this knight is guarding this area, plus the rook is there, so the king can't move. We can bring this rook over. Nice. Okay, another last example, blind swine mate. Checkmate the opponent in 5 moves. Okay, so pause the screen. This one's a little harder. Pause the screen and see if you can figure out what's white's best first move. Okay? Okay, I'm going to give you what I think is the first best move for white. Rook comes down, takes the pawn. There you go. Oh, okay. So he's in check now. What do you do? The king probably doesn't want to go there because the knight can go there and further harass the king. Let's see, where else do you not want to go? Well, you can't go here because the knight guards that. And if the king goes here, the pawn can just, well, the pawn could come down, but then the king could take it. Probably best to get out of the way. Okay, now the rook just moved. Now we can continue with our blind swine mate. And remember the hook mate. So here's a knight here. We can put this rook right here. Okay. I think the next best move would be to say check. The king can't go here because of the knight, so we can just go here. Okay, now smothered mate. This is a lot of fun. A smothered mate occurs when the knight checkmates a king that is smothered, surrounded by his friendly pieces, and he has nowhere to move, nor is there any way to capture the knight. It's also known as Philidor's legacy, after Francois-André Danikin Philidor, though its documentation predates Philidor by several hundred years. Okay, can you see a move where white can checkmate in one? Pause the screen. Otherwise, here it comes. Okay, smothered mate. Now, we'd love to put the knight right there, but this black queen would just take it. So what can we do? Do you see a move where white can checkmate in two moves? Okay, pause the screen. Otherwise, here it comes. I'm going to sacrifice the queen. The king couldn't have taken because of the knight. So now the queen took, and now the knight can do its smothered mate. All right, another example of smothered mate. I want you to pause the screen and look at it for a minute. It's checkmate the opponent in two moves. Do you see a good move for white, where white can checkmate black in two moves? Okay, pause the screen and look at it. Otherwise, here it comes. Queen comes down, checks the king, the rook takes. But now look at this. Knight comes in, smothered mate. Okay, last example of smothered mate. This is checkmate in 6. Okay, so this could take some time. So pause it and give it a good look. I can give you a hint. It looks like, you've got this queen barreling down right toward the king. So if you move this knight, that at least puts the king in check. That's something. Okay, so pause the screen now. Otherwise, I'm going to give you what I think is the first best move. I'm going to move this knight here. Okay, queen comes in. Looks like you can just take the queen. Now what to do? Well, let's see. Let's put the king in check again. He comes out. So we've managed to move the king. Checkmate. Let's see. What can we do? How about we move the knight this way? Puts the king in check. He goes there. Okay, now what if we were to move the queen right there? The king could not take it because of the knight. So the only piece that could take it would be the rook. Let's try it. Rook takes, smothered mate. Nice.